Hello and welcome to Contractor Accelerator Software Tips. In this video, we're going to be covering your project status pipeline and how to clean that up. So first, let's just talk generally about the pipeline. As your projects move through their life cycle, the system's going to automatically push those projects through to the appropriate stage it needs to be in. So it's going to move through what I call these little areas over here as buckets, for lack of a better term. So what pushes a project through from bucket to bucket are actions that are taken within the system. If you're not sure what action needs to be taken, no worries. As you can see within this bucket right here, I have a sentence that is going to remind me what I need to do within each stage. So it looks like within this bucket, an appointment needs to be scheduled, and that rule is the same for every bucket thereafter. As you can see in the sales appointment scheduled bucket, it's letting me know that in this case, actually, there is no action that needs to be taken to move it forward. And that's just because the system knows what date and time the appointment is at because of how you scheduled it. The stage will automatically be pushed once that time has passed, but one that does require action to be taken by you is the sales appointment completed. So as you can see here, it says estimate needed. So this is telling me that the appointment has completed, but what I'm needing to do now is go in and create that estimate to then send off to our customer. So like I said, the system is letting me know that there is an action that needs to be taken. When you do need to take an action within the pipeline, an easy way to complete that task is to actually just click on the project within our pipeline. It's actually going to end up taking you to the exact page that you need to go to complete that task. So within Sales Appointment Completed, if I open up this bucket, right now I have this organized and grouped by user. So if I click on Drake, I can see these two customers are the ones that he is responsible for. He is the sales owner of this project. So if I go ahead and click on this first customer, it's actually going to take me right to this tab where that bid needs to be created. And I can see now that there is nothing within this page. So I can click Add Bid and move on from there. Now that you know how the pipeline works, let's talk about getting those projects that you aren't working on actively out of the way. Your team will need to determine a company standard that everyone agrees on when it comes to a timeline for just keeping that project active. So if there is a project in the bid sent bucket, maybe your team wants to check in with the customer 7 days after the bid has been sent just to follow up. So if I go into that bid sent bucket right now, it looks like I have 10, and we're waiting for customer approval from all of those. As you can see, it gives me that timestamp right down here. It says the bid was sent 7 days ago, and the customer hasn't viewed this one. So it's kind of keeping track of these things to figure out at what points of time you guys need to reach out to your customer to try and get that project moving along. So in that case, we would say that that project is still active. If you get to a point where you've reached out to the customer and maybe they say, at this point in time we're not interested to move forward, or if there is a possibility that your customer ghosts you altogether, you will be able to choose whether that project should be active or inactive. If you do decide that it's inactive, what you'll want to do is to complete or cancel the project. So let's talk about what this means. What are the difference between picking those two situations and the buttons that are associated with them? Let's pretend that this particular customer, Sadie, has decided that she's not going to move forward at this time. So let's go ahead and click on her. It takes us right to that project overview page, which is right where we need to be. So if I scroll down here where all this information is, I get to the bottom and I have two buttons. I have a project complete and I have a cancel project button. Clicking on either of these two will allow that project to fall out of the project pipeline, but they mean two completely different things, so let's talk about that. So first, let's talk about canceling a project. What does this button mean and what does it do? Canceling a project should be used when you do not want the project to be accounted for in your reporting. The situations that you might use this button for are if you went to the evaluation and no work was needed, if you went to the evaluation and your company is unable to do the job, or the last one could be that your customer has just been non-responsive to scheduling an evaluation. So you haven't even gone out to even do the evaluation at this point. You would click cancel project to make sure that this doesn't affect your reporting. Or you could click the project complete button. Within this button, clicking this will mean that the project will be accounted for in your reporting. And what that means is maybe completing a project doesn't necessarily mean that the project has gone through the full life cycle, but it means that you've done all you can for the project. You've done all the work that you possibly could. So a couple situations that you should be using the complete button for are you've finished the job, you've gone in, you've done the installation, everything went great, and you're at the very last end of the project. Possibly you would have sent out the bid, but you didn't win the job. So in this case, you would also click the project complete. Even if you didn't do the work, it's still completing out everything that you could possibly do for this bid. And then you have sent out a bid and then the customer has been non-responsive or puts the project on hold for a significant amount of time. Your customer can still accept completed projects through its normal process, but if this happens, you can always click the Undo Project Complete button, or even create a whole new bid with updated services, pricing, or contract language. So, if you have a customer who possibly has kind of left this on the wayside for a couple of months, and you maybe have changed your pricing, or you decide at this point that some things have changed within the service, then in that case, you would want to go ahead and just complete this project and start a new one. So as we talked about before, those are the two buttons that you can click in order to get that project out of your pipeline. Just because it's out of your pipeline doesn't mean that you guys can't access it later. So please do not feel afraid that if you do click one of those buttons that you're going to lose all your information. The system does keep everything in its integrity, just to make sure that you guys are able to then search for that customer and go back for all that information you had before. So that is everything that you need to know about the project status pipeline, and thanks for watching.